And this is the link, Alex.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me just switch my account.
You want me to share it in the trade room?
Give me a second.
And
yeah, you can share right now.
this is the link, Alex.
I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. You can share it. Yeah. Be back. Okay, thank you very much. Just switch my account.
You want me to share it in the trade room?
Give me a second.
And
yeah, you can share right now.
This is the link, Alex.
I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. You can share it. Yeah. Be back.
Yeah, just tell me when you are there. You want me to share it in the trade room?
Second. Yeah, you can share it.
This is the link, Alex. Yeah, just tell me when you are there. You want me to share it in the trade room?
Yeah, you
Yeah, just tell me when you are there.
There's somebody talking to you in the background.
Somebody talking to me?
I mean, there was somebody talking in your background.
Ah, yes. 4 people right now.
So if I'm not missing, somebody talking to you in the background. Actually sound nice, yeah.
Somebody talking to me?
I mean, there was somebody talking in your background. I think we both sound quite nice, yeah, to be honest. Okay, so anyways.
Ah, yes.
The only thing is, well, it's a shame that I don't see an option, you know, to kind of lower the gap in between the stream and live stream, you know.
Yeah, I know that.
I mean, they have this feature on Twitch, but not on YouTube, apparently. So the gap has to stay. Okay, just gonna give it a couple of minutes so some people join, huh?
Yeah, I don't understand why we can't stream on YouTube, you know.
Yeah,
just from just excuse me, one call quickly. Hello. Là, je suis désolé, il faut le rappeler sur son numéro normal parce que je suis pas là aujourd'hui. Donc ouais, je suis désolé. Ah, ok, d'accord. Je suis vraiment désolé, mais là, je peux pas vous parler, désolé. Okay, here we go. Welcome to everyone.
Yep, welcome to everyone to yet another live stream, right? We just... Wait, the link was posted, right? Oh yes, we are live, yep. We gotta allow some time for people to join in. But in the meantime, if you guys have any questions, please do not hesitate to post it in YouTube comments. I mean, the YouTube live stream chat, obviously, not comments. And we will try to answer it to best of our abilities. And I sure hope so that you're not too cold in these times. Cause I'm feeling a little bit colder. We had like -2 degrees for like a couple of weeks now, and then suddenly woke up today and it was like +15.
Ah, yes,
Yeah, I was
14,
like,
14,
yeah, I was
14.
like, what the hell is going on, right? I mean, the weather is changing around so much
I
lately.
try to figure out myself, Alex.
Okay, so today I'm not so cold, but +15 is it's such a number, it's too much for the jacket. But if you're just sitting in the, your tank top or something like that, it's too cold. So you
For a
can,
t-shirt, yeah,
yeah.
I feel you, yeah.
So it's really hard to find that balance, right? Really hard to find that balance.
We are 8 for now.
We have 8 people for now. Should we get started or should we wait some more?
Maybe let's wait till 2 and 10. 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, we're gonna wait 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. So that people can join. Have you taken any trades this week, Arnaud?
Not for now, no.
Not for now. Actually, I had one very beautiful trade on Forex and I got missed for 1 point. I'm not even joking. 1 point.
There was some huge movement end of last week on Forex, right?
Yep, I mean there was because yeah, I mean the things that I don't know how politics
Quick
work in
seconds,
UK,
no?
right? I don't know how
Yeah.
politics work there, but so the guy who really wants Brexit to happen and got voted into parliament or something like that, right? Now he's gained
Boris
some
Johnson, I
power.
think.
Yeah, now now he gained some power, right? And there were some huge candles, British pound pump for like 3.5%, which is something I have not yet seen in my career of trading. Never seen a pump like this. I don't even think the pump like this happened when they first had that vote for Brexit. Wait, let me check that. I was back in 2016. Oh wait, actually, oh yeah, sorry, that was a 10% drop. So I apologize. I have seen a drop in pump like this before.
I think we can start, Alex.
Okay, okay. So welcome again, everybody, to our live stream. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to post them in YouTube live stream chat, and we will answer to the best of our abilities. That can either be trading questions, altcoin questions, Bitcoin questions, any kind of questions, except not for my cat.
It's been covered. It's been covered that subject, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do like to talk about my cat, right? But it's a trading stream, not a cat stream, right? Okay, so Bitcoin. Let's just go down with the Bitcoin. I guess I could just delete all the drawing tools right now that we had before. And yes, we will be proud to say we took a scalp at Bitcoin around here. Wait, sorry, it was. Let me find the exact price. It was 6995. 6995. That was our. Oh, so it was like something like this. Yep. We took a little scalp here, which we got filled perfectly, and we took quite a fast profit on it. No, the reason for the fast profit on it was we have these new algorithms running, as you guys saw from the channels, and algorithm pretty much opened the long on Ethereum at the same price, and since it was already at the same price, I didn't want to risk 2 trades going into the same direction, because BTC and Ethereum, they usually correlate pretty well, right? Of course, Ethereum tends to overreact in every given occasion. Either if it goes up or down, it most of the time it just overreacts, right? So that's why we took profits here already at like 1 hour. We pretty much closed the trade at 1 hour already. And since algorithm already had long on Ethereum, I started looking for a long a little bit lower, right? And in this case, found long on a smaller time frame, which was in case down here, which is currently still in the works, right? I mean, we're still waiting for this long to get filled, with the stop loss right under it. Now for this long, it was like 615 or something like that, I'm not sure. Let me just click it on 615. No, for this long, I have two possible solutions. I mean, two possible profit targets. I'm gonna say, not solutions, right? The first profit target I planned around here, which is in this case, this would now be the untested level, or the first signs of resistance, or first troubled area, as you would call it, right? Definitely planning to make the trade break even here, or take a huge chunk of profits, but this certain structure right now, I mean, we can all agree that structure still doesn't look really great for Bitcoin, right? I mean, let's be honest, if we were that kind of bullish, this whole different thing, right? This whole thing would look quite different, to be honest, right? But there is a possibility in this chart that we get feel on this trade that we actually go visit this level, you know. And yes, to some extent, I'm going to say that we could say that this level got tested with this wick, right? But the thing is, I'm going to count this wick as it tested this level, right? And then this wick tested again this level. So I'm going to assume that this level yet has been untested from the lower standoff point, right? And even if this level would have been tested by this point, I'm going to say that we already lost 2 levels worth of down when going down. So this is a big chance of possibility that we actually hit this level. And if we do actually hit this level, it is not only is it perfect one to close your long, it's also a perfect one to open up a short, right? Right now I'm gonna say we talk about possibility of testing this area right here, right? I mean, right now, being this the lowest point on the Bitcoin is going to bounce. If it bounces from here for lowest point, I'm going to say that chances of testing us this are pretty slim. Pretty slim, I'm going to say, right? That's why I would, in this case, I would definitely look here to smash a short instead of here. I mean, if it goes up here, I'm gonna be ready, right? I mean, if it blows through here and goes somewhere around here, I'm going to be ready here with another short, right? But chances of happening this right now are pretty slim. So that would be kind of a lower time frame solution to what we have, like this in-between place, right? Obviously, we do work independently from algos, okay? Algos take trades on whole different levels. They use price action, they use indicators. It's a mix mash, you know, so they find these small little opportunities in between the charts that we usually don't play because we tend to have to risk it, but, you know, it's still money to be made. If it's profitable on, how to say, if it's, we checked it out, it's profitable on the longer term because it's capturing this small percentage of difference, and, you know, even if you have like 1 to 2% of edge, it's still something, right? And I mean, it's enough for a computer to capitalize it on it, but it's not enough for like a personal trader to do it, right? No, the higher time frames, as we already spoke, right? I mean, our outlooks have not changed at all since the last week we did this stream. Still pretty bearish to me, right? We haven't gained anything. We haven't broke the curves. We almost did it here, but we didn't, right? Because this was just a wick, and we know we don't count the wicks, right? We haven't done any progress since at all on Bitcoin, except of even being more bearish than we are to begin with, right? The higher time frames, and I'm gonna actually go daily here. We're probably gonna be start stacking longs under this point here, right? As we already explained this in the previous one, we're gonna be start stacking longs around this point where we expect to be hit quite soon. Wait, let me see. Yeah, around here, which we expect to be quite soon hit, right? And now there are two possible ways of you going into these longs, especially if you want to make a little bit of a personal play on the side, right? One solution it is you start stacking up your buys, obviously, right? So you do like, I don't know, 10%, 40%, 20%, or sorry, no, 10%, 40%, 50%, sorry, yeah, like, and you know, you get an average of around here. If you did this, you would have average around here, and then your stop loss would be low.
So Alex,
Yeah.
I think there was a slight problem with your sound. We can't hear you that much now.
You can't hear you, man? Buys, obviously, right? So you do like,
Yeah, from 1 second to another,
20%, or sorry, no, 10%, 40%,
it was perfect,
50%,
and
sorry.
now
Like, and what do you mean? It's just perfect now, or we can't hear me? Or what's the problem?
yeah, maybe a bit louder.
Stop loss would be low.
So Alex,
Okay.
I think there was a slight problem with your sound. We
Okay,
can't
I
hear you
just
that much
boosted my
now.
microphone by a lot. So hopefully that works now. It should work. Okay, I think it should work now. Yeah. Apologies. Oh, sorry, yeah. So basically, your average entry would be around here, right? With your stop loss. With your stop loss around this area, and those are your entries. Now the targets, the targets. That's when it comes to targets. This is a really good question, right? Because everything from here onwards, if you say where it's going to go, it's going to be basically a sort of a prediction, right? Because what we really need to see here is we need to see a reaction, right? I mean, reaction is the most important thing. Like, there's a difference if the reaction, if it's gonna dip like this and then reaction is gonna be like this, right? Or if it's going to dip like this and then we're gonna do sideways and and then do something like this. There's a huge difference, right? If its reaction is real fast, then yes, possibility of us testing that would be quite great, if it's like seriously something big and we start closing above this area, right? Then possibility of testing this would be really big. And this for this time, if our let's just say if our average entry is here and stop loss around here and profit target around here, this is a pretty good R. You won't find trades like this too often around the map, right? And especially trades being this safe and being still such a high R. Now, if the reaction is going to be something like this, right, real slow and everything, and then it's slowly going to start move up, and then already start struggling this area, which is the most important areas for us to break to be able to do something, or at least have chance of breaking some curses or something, right? The curses of being the bear, right? Well, then it's again the chances are pretty slim, and we're probably gonna start testing somewhere bottom again, maybe here a little reaction again, and then the curse can just continue down to 3k, right? Obviously, these are all predictions right now, and I don't like making predictions, and it's all I guess at the situation like this, right? We just have to wait to see where the price is moving in, and then after the price moves into our buy zone, we buy it, and then we start setting profit targets, which depends on the reaction of the entire chart, how it's playing out, right? But no matter what almost happens, I'm always going to keep probably a first profit target here. I'm always gonna have profit target around this area somewhere, right? Because it just makes the most sense. It's the first resistance areas, and again, even if this is a big time frame like daily, weekly, this could be considered even a weekly time frame. We are still trading against the trend, right? We're still not doing anything else than trading against the trend, so we have to take this in mind, and obviously have to respect it, right? To some matters. That's basically a long-term play for Bitcoin right now. If this area fails when we currently have long, and we did call this long, we did put this long in queue, right? So if this one fails us, our most likely play would be this area right here, I mean, which we just stayed at. And obviously the algos will be playing charts in between, right? We have algos running on Waves, IOTA, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance, BitMEX, right? So algos will do their place, will do this place on the side, which are just bonus at this time, right? And they're making good money at the moment, right? But these are simply our main plays, the main plays that we will be moving a little bit larger quantity of money on them, right? You got something to add here, Arnaud?
No, you basically covered everything about Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, there's not.
Except if someone have a question, maybe
Yes.
not for now. Not for now.
Okay. So the thing is, when it comes to these charts, I mean, there's not much new, right? Because if you look at it, we have been spending in this area, right? We have been spending since 21st of November, right? So basically almost a month, right? And we haven't done much, we just bumped from this, and we exhausted this range a lot, right? We go like back to like 1 hour. Let's do 4 hour actually. So we exhausted this range a lot, right? We tested every possible point except this one. This is the last untested point, right? But everything else was tested, all the levels, you see, all the levels, everything was tested. So this range is pretty much drain of liquidity, right? The only question now imposes this level, right? And like I said, this being the bottom of the range, the very bottom of the range, we're scraping the barrel right here, right? We can't stay the same amount of bullish as we did if we would to bounce here and then go up here, right? So yes, this does not look very bullish, and I can think to myself that we'll probably see these levels quite soon, probably like after the new year or maybe.
Let's wait for the reaction at your level.
Exactly. And if we go on daily, we have certain more, even more, right? Like you can see the volume is even going lower, and the volume is still bad right now, but it's even going lower, right? So also as well, not a great example. But maybe this, watching volume at these levels right now, it's basically probably not even a honest one, right? Because plenty of people could argue that volume here was even lower, right? But you're forgetting that a lot of market makers are now involved to keep sort of the crypto alive. So there was a lot less market making in the beginning of the year than it is now at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, it's artificially boosted, right?
Exactly, artificially boosted, especially Binance. Binance these days, they just boost their volume all over the place. Because look at this from the perspective. Look at how volume was so low here. You see, look how volume was low here, right? In this area, right? And look how chart
And
moved in this
yeah, the
area,
volatility was
right?
higher
Yeah,
despite little
exactly.
volume.
I mean, just to see like this is like 50% movements, and if we go here on lower time frame, there's gonna be ton of trades, right? Now let's go to this. Let's go to more recent times, right? Look how much volume we have now. A lot more than we had here, right? Wouldn't you agree? Because look, if I place my mouse here, look at how much
Yeah,
volume
yeah,
we have
yeah.
now, and look at the
Definitely,
moves.
definitely.
Look at the moves. They're basically nothing. Like what can you trade here? Yes, you could argue 40%, but what can I do with this chart? It's just this, you know? It's just this. It's nothing, like nothing is gaining, nothing is losing, right? So I could
It's
do.
basically flat
It's
and
basically flat chart, right?
flat
So
and dead, like a heartbeat.
exactly, and the problem of flat chart is, right, where do you place your stop loss, right? If I go for a long right here, where do I place my stop loss? Do I place it under the low? Do I place it under the low? But look what happens, right? Every time it returned to the low, so this was the low the first time,
It's
right?
a bit
It
lower
got
than
blown, you saw? So you will get stopped, and then you had another stop right here. Let's say even if you put it on VIX, right? It got blown, right? So right now you could at least maybe say I'm gonna place my stop loss right here, right? But then you're guessing, and not only you're guessing, but look how it destroys your profitability, right? Because right now if you place your trade like this, the coin has to move for entirety of 20% for you to make 1% of money, right?
1 hour. Yeah.
I mean, doesn't make sense at all, and it's way too risky, right? Way too risky. Uh, the charts like we had, this was really beautiful. I can't argue with this one, right? This is a really beautiful chart, right? I mean, but those charts are so rare these days on alt, right? We had this trade, we closed it down already. It's like, but it is kind of disappointing that the strongest level, we're talking about the strongest level on the chart, right, didn't even give us a proper reaction of like, at least to here, like 30 or 20%. Because this
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
happened in the later days. In the earlier days of crypto, this would have happened, right? But now we got a measly 10 to 15% move, and then it goes probably even lower, right? I mean, I still can do something like this and goes up, right? But I mean, it's so risky because what if you wait in your trade like here, and then Bitcoin drops and it's gonna do something like this, right? You're for sure gonna get stopped, right? You're
Well,
almost for sure gonna get stopped, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah, we have to take profit earlier in
yeah,
those market conditions.
yeah. And right now we can, in charts like this, we had our reaction, we took profits, and it was a couple of percent trade, right? But now we can only wait for it to go lower and maybe struck on the next level, right? And then maybe perhaps we can get a much better reaction at the next level, right? But then you also have charts like this, right? Tomo. We have traded Tomo, right? We have traded. We were in Tomo, and it was a good level, right? We took some profits at it. But then look what happens, right? You go from zero volume. You go from absolutely zero volume, and look how flat this is. And this was flat for, let's just see how long. This was flat for almost an entire month, right? Nothing is happening. You don't even know what to do at this point, right? And then you suddenly have these huge spikes of volume, right? I mean, huge spikes of volume, and it just throws the entire thing up by, let's just see how much it pumped, 200%. And this is another cancer of this market, because the market is so thin, the order books are so thin that if a whale comes in with 15 or 20 BTC, they can basically push this chart up for like 100% or 60 at least. I mean, I can guarantee that this push was made by couple of people who had nowhere more than 20 BTC, right? And then the whole thing started with market makers and everything got in, right? Same as Matic. I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, the market was so thin, the market maker came in with a little bit of FOMO, help of FOMO, and made this huge pump. And then when market maker ran out of resources, or quote unquote, possibly when market maker ran out of resources, somebody dumped big, which I'm going to call it, it was probably an insider, right? Because why would he dump so big? We only bounce from that dump. We only bounce for about 60%, 50%, right? And of this 50%, we already retraced 30%. I mean, how do you go from pumping almost 300% in a couple of days to absolutely retracing to 100% in like just what is this, like for
Yeah,
1 week?
that's literally a free fall.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be saying it. I wouldn't say this is rigged, right? Because if the price was actually doing something right now, if the price was doing like something like this, right, and then going down, right, then that would be organic thing. But you don't see in traditional market stuff like this when it dumps like this and then pumps a little bit and then it just goes down, unless company goes bankrupt, right? Which in this case we can't say, right? So stuff like this, manipulation. There's no other. You don't see stuff. It's not natural. It doesn't happen in the regular markets. It doesn't happen here. But you know, when you have really thin order books, right, like this, then you can start.
Can we maybe take a look at the DGD?
Yeah. The only thing is, right, if you play this, certainly you're gonna sometimes you can get lucky and can make a lot of money off of this place, right? But look how many coins there are in Binance. Look at me scrolling on the right side. You see, there's so many coins. How are you gonna pick the right one, right? How are you gonna pick the right coin? I mean, QLC is actually a good one because it's getting delisted from Binance, you know. So you're sitting in your coin for like, I don't know, half a year and then it gets delisted from Binance and you're totally wrecked, right? So that's even one more issue of waiting in the salts. DGD is set. DigiDAO, Bitcoin. So wait, well, let me see what's happening here. Okay, so it's...
Was kind of a stair, you know, just right there.
Oh yeah, I can still see it's far from it. Oh yeah, so yeah, this is it's a perfect example for usually for market maker stairs, right? So they would usually go, and you know, if I'll bet my ass almost, you know, okay, so this is the most usual pattern of the market maker, right? And I'll bet my ass it's very close to 0.5 on Fibonacci because for some reason in crypto, market makers will pump the shit. They will let it down to like 0.5% fib, sorry, 0.5 fib, right? And then we'll pump it forwards, right? And now if we do a fib right here, let's just see what's the verdict. So the start of the pump would be here, right? Would you agree? Look.
Yeah, 0.5.
0.5 fib, right? To almost perfection and pumped, right? And now we have another one here. We can say a start of the pump would be right here, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, here it went a little bit higher than 0. But again, what is this wick, right? I mean, look how huge this wick is. If we're not taking this huge wick into account, we can say this wick and it's 0.5%, right? Because this wick could have been caused just by one guy bought way too much, right? I mean, market smashed the price out of it, right? So this is a little bit unrealistic with the wick of 15% wick, but if we put it on the lower wick, right, it's 0.5%. Even if we put it on the lowest wick, it's 0.5%, right? So I don't know why market makers do that, right? I don't know why they do that, but this is just acceptable crypto. I've seen this. I mean, I've played this shit a lot of times in my life in the past. Throughout the years, it is sort of a thing. I played a lot of things, so actually really my secret right here. I mean, but you know, it is what happens, right? And right now, if the market maker is still alive, right? Of course, the wick is probably a little bit big. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, it's not that big as I said, but as you can see, right? It's now letting it go, but it's now letting go to 0.5, and now we should see increase in the volume. But in this case, maybe if we put it down here, we still have some place. So I'm gonna say around here. If market maker is still alive, it's gonna start pumping around this box, you know. And we will see. If market maker is still alive, it's gonna start pumping around this box. But the volume, you have to watch the volume. Volume was much higher. Wait, what is this? Volume was much higher at these spots than it is right now.
Yeah, the last pump is basically dead.
So I'm going to say that is a big possibility that market maker here is already not pushing it anymore. So what would I do in this case, you know? I mean, right now we could say we can move in for a trade around here. We could move in for a trade around here, you know, possibly hope that market maker will go for a little bit bigger retrace and maybe do something like this. Wait, where's my pen? They'll maybe do something like this, you know. But if market maker does this, you know, and this obviously is gonna last a couple of days, I'm gonna say that this was the top, you know. Then they're gonna have a really hard time pushing across this, because this, if they do this, they sort of turn chart bearish already. because you lost 2 levels by doing that, right? So I'm gonna say that if they do this, I would definitely sell at this red square. So if I'm buying here, I would definitely be selling at the red square. And I guess even for this, we could probably be calling out these trades. We could probably do a stop right here. Well, 10% stop, it's not the happiest one. We could maybe adjust the entry a little bit. But if you adjust the entry a little bit too much, then it won't get filled, which is also the story of my life lately on alts. I don't get filled a lot. Yeah, but around here, I'm gonna actually save this up and see if this one, if this one is going to reactivate. How do I think, oh, get saved. Okay, cool. We'll see what happens with this one, right? This is pretty much it. If we want DGD to turn bullish, then obviously the yellow line is the first one to break. You almost have to break this line in order to get bullish. I mean, if we are under this line, we have nothing to talk about, right? I'm not even gonna tell anybody to invest for longer periods of time, and I don't even care if they are a superb company. They have a lot of FA and everything. If it's not breaking this line, I'm not gonna go for the long-term investment, right? Yeah, that would basically be it for DG, right? I mean, I don't see much else except this one. Maybe down here, there's another trade possibility down here. But of course, you gotta narrow it down because the stop, if I'm not mistaken, the stop here is gonna be huge. Oops. Why are you placing my stop so far away when I placed it?
Such a beautiful stop placement, Alex.
Oh, 18%. Jesus Christ, man. That's too much. That's too much. I mean, see, 80% is too much because then coin has to pump like here you don't even make 1.5 R. I mean, you make about 1.5 R, and look at this. This is a 43% move, right? So when you count up here, you actually make 2 or 3 R, right? So no thanks. The stop is too much to take this trade down here, right? Especially for this market. You see, when the chart moves like this, right? Look how much nicer this looks compared to this, right? I mean, look. I mean, yes, there are weeks, and obviously there's always going to be weeks because alts are always less liquid and everything else. But still, there's so much stuff to trade here. There's so much stuff because price is all around.
It looks alive,
Yeah,
here.
it looks very much alive, but look at here.
And
Like,
here, nothing.
I mean, even if you see that it has some movement, look how less lively this movement than this movement. Look how alive was this, there was thousands of people selling and buying in this range, and here it was just market maker mostly playing around with itself and a couple of other investors, right? So you can see the lack of this. Just I mean, it's at this point I'm like a trumpet with I'm like a broken trumpet because I'm saying the same thing, but I'm just trying to show you guys like seriously the struggles of the markets and why we might have a little bit less trades than we had half a year ago, right? Because in half a year ago we could trade basically all day every day. I mean, not that, but we could have traded a lot more than we do now, right? Especially when charts look like this, you really don't have anything to do because, right, like what am I gonna do with this chart, right? I mean, what are you gonna do with this chart, right? I mean, are you gonna expect that something like this gets hit, like something like this? I don't know, right? We have nothing to the left side anymore, right? It's super hard to trade chart like this.
1 years old listing, and it looks like price discovery. It's paradoxal right now.
So you guys, you got any questions about trading? Any questions about alts? Ask us. Where are the comments? I'm not seeing any comments from the usual people.
Yeah, nothing's for now.
Yep. The MCO. Well, MCO is a great example. It went under the low, and now you sort of have to wait. What's gonna do, right? If it's gonna come up, what's gonna do. And I think I will set this lines up, so this could be if it comes down here, this could be also a good trade. But it's super risky trade again because wait, we do have a level here. Let me see what's the stop loss like with this puppy, right? I mean, this is not bad. I would actually go for this one if it comes down here. This is not too bad, mate. I had a small trade down here apparently. This is not too bad. I would go for this trade, right? I mean, for me to be super confident about the trade, I would like it to break this line, right? But I guess it won't break this line. But closing above this makes me enough courageous to already pull a trade right here. So I guess I can even call this trade in the foresee, you know, the signals, and I can send this out because I think this is a good trade which will most likely play out. So at least to a first profit target, I am not gonna aim for like these lines. First two profit targets would be maximum what I would aim here. Let's see how much percentage that is. That is about 16% movement, which brings us about 2.5 hours. So not too bad, right? Not too bad. Not too bad. Got any more charts? Wait, main list. Ethereum probably, right? Oh boy. So as I was saying, Ethereum overreacted again, right? Let's go. Wait, no, actually, yeah, let's go to daily. I mean, let's go to 4 hourly. Let's see now. Ethereum overreacted again, and I'll prove this. Okay, so Ethereum dropped for 8%, right? Now let's go back to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin dropped for 4%. See, or even that, not that. So Ethereum overreacted again, as it's standard, right? Ethereum, as I said already, long-term targets are gonna be around here. Long-term targets, yeah, around here and here. Oops. These are my long-term targets for Ethereum. Yes, that is quite low, to be honest. True that, and we don't know the timeline that this would be hit. It could barely take months, even more than half a year, obviously. But the thing about Ethereum, man, is they have posting coming and they have something else. I'm not sure what. They have two really bullish news. The pause would be a big difference, since if you could stake, you know, Ethereum and then obviously get some more Ethereum back, you know. To why I think Ethereum is overreacting right now, you know, most of the thing is like you got no more ICOs, no more EAOs, right? So that's a huge difference for Ethereum, which was most of the time that was the only use case for Ethereum, right? Except for, you know, you also got dApps and everything, right? But Ethereum proved to be a little bit too slow for dApps, you know. I've done some research on that, and as you have a lot of users start using an app, right? Ethereum really goes up. I mean, really slows down when it comes to all transactions things and everything, and then the fees go up. But yes, it's still a lot better than Bitcoin, right? Because fees are much smaller and it's still faster than Bitcoin, even under heavy load, right? But it's nothing revolutionary, you know. It's nothing revolutionary that you could actually use on a grand scale. So there are some coins out there that are solving this problem, right? But Ethereum is not simply not one of them just yet, right? So obviously with the update of Ethereum at like 2.0, it's probably a more speed will come, and I'm really intrigued to see this, how this pause will work out, because Ethereum, unlike Bitcoin, right, has unlimited supply. That's also a big problem why it's overreacting, right? When you have unlimited supply, you know, these things tends to happen, right? Because it's not, it's also a mindset of people. If something is not limited, right? If something is unlimited out there, you know, it's gonna drop in value. That's like almost automatic thing, right? So when Bitcoin, there's only 21 million Bitcoin, right? And there's always gonna be 21 million Bitcoin. You can never be 21 million and one Bitcoin, right? So people will always be more inclined to stack Bitcoin than Ethereum, because Ethereum will always be more. Even if it rises on a really slow rate, right? Even if it goes up on a really slow rate, it's still gonna be less valuable as Bitcoin, right? But yeah, this pulse could boost up things for Ethereum a lot, you know. Could also be one of the reasons for the new bull run. We will see that, right? But for now, like I said, you gotta break some curses, you know. You gotta break some bad habits of bear before that could happen, right? And even if you go on a high time frame with it, oh wait, that's maybe not a good. I have to go on another chart. You see, Ethereum Ethereum did not even test its main levels, right? Which would be around these areas, right? I mean, oh wait, actually did test this level. I'm wrong. Actually did test. It tested the main level and failed, and then went low, right? I mean, this was a really good push-up. I'm not gonna lie, right? But if we could do something like this, wait, only we could do something like this, right? I mean, and then go down, there would be a totally different picture, right? Oops, a small push like this can make a whole lot of difference. A small push like this can make a whole lot of difference, you know, in the graphs and how people react and how many people buy it and everything else. But yeah, when it comes to volume, Ethereum has not been spared.
Same story
Yeah,
as BTC. Yeah.
has not been spared at all, right? And you know, and they we have come to a point where even it's trouble with market makers. You know, they can't really fake that much, right? They can't really fake it too much because then it's gonna be too obvious, right? Same thing for Ethereum, like I said, main targets down there. We will wait and see what happens there, right? Wait, maybe I'm just gonna make one big square on a big time frame because you know if you look at the weekly time frame, that's the big square, right? Around here. Of course, it's a huge gap, right? But it's like 45% gap. How obviously I've just shown how it looks like on a small time frames, right? Yeah. So I hope Ethereum will hit there a little bit before the bullish news, so we can smack a nice trade on it, and then after the news hit, you know, the pause and everything, we can get a huge bounce, and perhaps even break the curse of bears. So yeah, that would be nice. Oh, I see XRP dropped a little bit. Let me see what's the matter with this one. Oh, look at that! It finally filled my trade after 3 years. Obviously, my trade would have been removed by now because, let's be honest, you know, we tested this close and bounced, right? I mean, this is not even a 1% difference, so this trade is not valid. But I'm still keeping it for some reason on the chart at least. But right now, I can say finally it got filled after such a long time, right? Amazing, and it actually gave us 3.5 hour. I mean, if it would have gone filled the first time, obviously that's just hindsight now, right? Oh, we got a question, Arnaud. Are you gonna read it out?
We got a question. Let's see that. Okay. A bit late. Yeah, we were talking about. Oana asked. She didn't see any BTC USD signal past few days, but actually the signals for Bitcoin are mainly from the algo for now, and we do have a long BTC waiting for us at
Yeah. We do have a long. Oh wait. Actually, wait. Did it just got filled? Oh man, we just got filled, bro.
Just right now.
Oh, we just got filled. Oh wait. I think we got filled. Wait. Let me check this. Oh yes, we got filled. We're almost at
Yes.
profit target
Yes.
actually. Yeah. Well, that was pretty fast. I'm glad. I'm glad you asked this question because we just got filled. Okay, that's pretty interesting right now. Yep, that's a nice reaction for now for our scalp. So I hope it takes on our first profit target. Wait. Let's just say our first profit target would be around here. Yep, it is around here. So that's the spot to look at right now. But this is exactly the reaction I want to see, you know. It comes down, fills me up and bounces immediately. Now you go to lower time frames and you just hope it does a little reaction and hopefully then sort of a where's my tool again? I always lose my brush tool. Sort of does something like this slowly, right? I mean, well, maybe it even comes down now. This trade, I would have taken it. Oh yeah, now it's coming back down. Oh boy. Well, I hope it's gonna react again, obviously. This is a kind of trade I would take any day of the week, right? As it is structured. But if this trade fails, we're gonna have to start calling out these trades out. We're gonna have to put it on queue. Sorry, let me answer your question again. So yes, I heard there were some BTC trades recently, scalps. Yes, we also, if you haven't heard, we started using the algorithms, right, which kind of fill those small gaps in between where you have like 2, 1, you know, some percentage movements, right? So so those are filling the gaps so that we have more trades now, right? But yes, we still have regular trades with regular traders, as you can see, right? I mean, there's just not a lot of them lately, right? Because you have to understand that market is not as movable as it was back in the past, right? But I do hope that after January it's gonna come back to full effect like it was back in the past. I'm actually super glad we got filled on this. Now let's check. Wow, and I'm actually surprised Ethereum did not move a muscle right now. Yep, Ethereum did not move a muscle. Now that's really strange because Ethereum usually overreacts way more than Bitcoin. But perhaps it didn't overreact right now because the first night it jumped for like 8%. So it was like 2 times as much as 2 times as much as the, you know,
Ethereum was in
Bitcoin.
advance, and
Yeah,
BTC maybe.
yeah. But like, look at now that my trade would get filled here, it's probably even gonna hit this profit target because everything else is dropping, right? I mean, after the drop, it would probably go for the profit target, right? Yes, let me just check. Okay, so this has been going pretty well right now. I'm not gonna lie. Oh yeah, I also had a question about ADA, and I think I had a question about ADA. Wait, this was the short that we played here. Oh, I still have it on my chart. Okay, anyways, I think I had a question because one guy was telling me that he's buying a lot of ADA right now, and you know, I gave him an answer that yes, that there's something like ADA. Wait, I'm not sure why this is here because this is a fat stop. Maybe I'm gonna just delete this. ADA, I'm going to say it. Sorry, I'm gonna start from the beginning. I had a question from a guy in the channels. I think it was last night or previous day that he's buying a lot of ADA, but his average price was around here. You know, so I'm not gonna say this is the best average price. You know, but the more I think about it, like yes, ADA still looks bearish, right? I mean, still doesn't look too good. But you know, if you look at it closer, I was thinking this last night actually that this actually is sort of accumulation, right?
Yeah, that
And
was I was
the only
thinking
thing right
about.
now, yeah, the only thing right now it can happen still. Like it can go here, right, and start bouncing a little bit more. It can go here, or the most the most bad situation possible would be right if it does something like this still, you know, and then it does something like that and then starts pumping up. But I started to think that there's a lot of these patterns around the older charts, right? So one of the reasons could be right that perhaps everything of alts related, right, are basically in accumulation right now. So maybe that could be a really good sign for us to catch some really good trades in in the future, right? So right now, I'm gonna say even if you for the guy if he's watching who bought right here, I don't think it's that bad, you know. Actually, I do think you can maybe perhaps even get out with this trade with a really good stand, you know. But for ADA, again, ADA has so much room. Like, you know, ADA, when ADA is gonna start to move, and let's just say it's a little bit more known coin, you know, it's not your unknown coin who nobody knows about it, right? Like, look how much room do you have, like, if you go test if you go test the main levels, right? It's like basically you have like 70% of room, you know, so you're gonna make plenty of money about this, you know. This is a pretty good one, not gonna lie. Uh, But you know, the only question is, if you try to predict if this is accumulation, it's again prediction, right? You have to wait for something to be gained. And yes, we did. You could argue we gained this here, right? But you then also gotta say that we already did that once in the past and still tested the low. So yes, a trade is possible down here. I'm not gonna lie, the trade is possible down here. But even if I take the trade down here, I'm not gonna expect high. I'm not gonna then expect to do this, right? I'm gonna let chart do a higher high, a proper one, and then I'm gonna start looking for a long-term longs, which would help me to up here, right? So again, I mean, there are some guys who's gonna gamble it out, right? I mean, there's some guys who's gonna buy in and just wait for it, right? Because they have time and everything. But I don't want to do that, right? I want to have my confirmation. I don't want my money to be sitting in a trade that I'm not too sure about it, right? Like, you know what I'm feeling, Arnaud, right? You don't want your money trapped for like, I don't know, 4 months, you know, waiting for
Yeah,
this target, and 4 months later it's still gonna be like this, you know. I mean, you just give the
yeah,
chart out
good.
to break
You know,
out and hopefully it retraces and then you enter in. Yes, and do sometimes these charts when the full FOMO mode goes in, the full FOMO goes in, you know, it doesn't go like, you know, the full when the full FOMO goes in, it doesn't retrace back as it should, right? But
next opportunity then,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Uh, Wait, so I'm trying to figure out what's the.
No new question for now.
Okay, so we got no more questions. Sorry, I was just being asked something on Telegram about the longs, everything. Uh,
I think
yeah.
we covered all the stuff. If
Yeah. So if you guys got any more questions, I'm free to answer them. I still got a couple of minutes. I'm just checking my telegrams because you know the trade got triggered and I have a lot of questions about the trade. I'm just seeing and you know Oh, this is already a nice reaction. I'm loving this a lot, Arnaud, you know. I'm loving this reaction a lot. Perfectly, my friend, perfectly. I couldn't be happy more. Let's see how this plays out, right? I mean, wait, it dipped to like 68666. Okay. Yep. That is quite nice. We'll see about it. So, I don't think guys have any more questions. I guess then we shall wrap the stream right here. And in the words of Hendo, happy hunting, right? He likes to say happy hunting.
Yeah, happy ending. Rotopanda, yeah.
Yep.
And
We will keep trading on, guys. You know, we will keep trying to hunt these trades for you, and we will keep update you on the markets and everything. And I hope you join us the next week. You know. This was being me and Arnaud here. See you guys later, right? See you.
see
Bye.
you.